The Department of Cannabis Regulation, also known as DCR, is transforming its website into a more user-friendly online information and resource center. We have comprehensively redesigned our website to streamline, simplify, and make more accessible information related to licensing and the social equity program. All videos and resources on the website are for informational or guidance purposes only and may be updated from time to time as information becomes available. The information contained in these videos, forms, and other resources is subject to change without notice and does not replace or supersede the requirements contained in the Los Angeles Municipal Code or the rules and regulations. DCR encourages all applicants to conduct their own due diligence and seek legal or business advice if necessary.
The purpose of this informational video is to provide key stakeholders, specifically area neighborhood councils, local Los Angeles Police Department precincts, local chambers of commerce, and substance abuse intervention, prevention, and treatment organizations, with information on how to submit input to the City Council regarding a prospective cannabis business applicant's public convenience or necessity, or PCN, request. Before sharing this information, it's important to have a basic understanding of what a cannabis business PCN request is. To operate a lawful commercial cannabis business in the City of Los Angeles, a business must obtain a license both from the City of Los Angeles and the State of California. The City of Los Angeles Department of Cannabis Regulation, or DCR, is responsible for administering the city's commercial cannabis licensing and the social equity program. The sections of the Los Angeles Municipal Code, generally referred to as the Cannabis Procedure Ordinance, contains the procedures and requirements for the administration of commercial cannabis licensing and the related social equity program. More information about cannabis licensing is available online at cannabis.lacity.org under the licensing menu. DCR issues licenses for the following business types to operate in Los Angeles: retail, delivery, volatile and non-volatile manufacturing, distribution, and cultivation commercial cannabis activity. While there is no cap or established limit on the number of licenses DCR can issue for delivery, non-volatile manufacturing, or distribution, the number of retail, cultivation, and volatile manufacturing commercial cannabis activity licenses are limited by community plan area based on the definition of undue concentration. Once DCR issues the maximum number of these types of licenses in any given community plan area, or CPA, that area has reached undue concentration. When an area has become unduly concentrated, an applicant cannot apply for one of these license types without having a PCN finding from the City Council. Please note that this process is not the same as the PCN process associated with the sale and/or on-site/off-site consumption of alcoholic beverages. The biggest difference between the two is that the PCN request associated with commercial cannabis activity goes to the City Council without having been through department or commission review, and as such, there is no department or commission recommendation. A commercial cannabis PCN request only determines whether an applicant may submit an application to DCR. It is not a recommendation to the department, and it is not an approval or denial of a license. It's also important to note that even if approved, the City Council cannot impose any conditions of approval on their approval of the PCN request. The Los Angeles Cannabis Procedure Ordinance currently requires retail or storefront applicants with a business premises located in a community plan area which has reached undue concentration to file a request with the City Council to find that the approval of the license application would serve the public convenience or necessity, supported by on-the-record evidence. The department has prepared several resources to assist applicants with the PCN process, and these resources can be found on the department website under the licensing menu. The resources associated with the public convenience or necessity procedure can be found on the website under the licensing menu, under the application procedures and resources page, and application forms and documents page. First, we will navigate to the application procedures and resources page. Next, click Public Convenience or Necessity. The resources we've developed include an information and procedure bulletin, the PCN procedure workflow, the Public Convenience or Necessity Finding Request form, and this stakeholder input form. The resources shown detail procedures for the applicant to follow when submitting a PCN request. As part of the PCN request process, applicants are required to engage with and seek written input from stakeholders in the community plan area in which the proposed retail business premises will be located. These stakeholders include, but are not limited to, the area neighborhood council, the local Los Angeles Police Department precinct, local chamber of commerce, and at least one substance abuse intervention, prevention, and treatment organization. As mentioned at the beginning of the video, the purpose of this informational video is to provide our key stakeholders with information on how to submit that written input to the City Council regarding a prospective cannabis business applicant's PCN request. To that end, DCR has created the stakeholder input form for applicants to use to notify the stakeholders mentioned about their application to City Council and to provide information about the proposed business. When DCR transmits a PCN request form to the Los Angeles City Clerk, the PCN request is given a council file number. DCR will post a notice on its website within 10 days of transmitting the request and include the council file number. DCR has encouraged applicants to reach out to key stakeholders prior to DCR's transmittal of the PCN request to the city clerk. Therefore, initially, when an applicant reaches out to you, the stakeholder, a council file number may not have been assigned to the PCN request yet. But stakeholders should begin their internal respective processes in order to be able to provide written input to the City Council when the matter is scheduled for public hearing. Once a council file number is assigned by the City Clerk, the applicant must complete and send the stakeholder input request form to key stakeholders. The stakeholder input form allows the applicant to share important information with stakeholders about the applicant, including the proposed business premises location, the impacted community plan area and council district, the applicant's name and the applicant's contact information, including phone number and email address, and the applicant's proposed hours of operation. The stakeholder input request form will also reference the applicant's assigned council file number and provides that stakeholders may submit any comments and or documents to the City Council pertaining to the request at lacouncilcomment.com. By making explicit reference to the assigned council file number in the comments submitted to City Council, key stakeholders can ensure that their input is associated and considered with the applicant's request. We recommend that the written input be submitted to the City Clerk on the association or organization's letterhead. City Council will consider the applicant's PCN request and stakeholder feedback when determining whether or not to approve the applicant's request. Again, it is important to note that when considering a PCN request, the City Council is not approving an application or a license. The City Council is making a finding that allowing the license application to proceed serves the public convenience or necessity, thereby allowing the applicant to submit a license application to the Department of Cannabis Regulation. The City Council has adopted standards to guide their decision-making. These can be found on the Information and Procedure Bulletin. It is important to note each council office's standards will vary depending on the needs of their district and community. If the council votes in favor of the finding, the applicant will then be able to submit a license application to DCR. In order to consider what input is appropriate, stakeholders, such as the neighborhood council, may ask the applicant for additional information or may wish to have them provide a presentation at one of its board or committee meetings. Because the City Council has a maximum of 90 calendar days to consider the request after the City Clerk receives the PCN request form from DCR, we recommend that if time allow, key stakeholders who may desire to provide input, like neighborhood councils, meet soon after receiving the applicant's request for stakeholder input form. To quickly recap, key stakeholders are encouraged to share input with the City Council regarding applicants' PCN request. Applicants are required to engage and seek written input from key stakeholders. Each applicant's PCN request will be assigned a unique council file number after DCR transmits the form to the city clerk. However, we encourage applicants to reach out to stakeholders before their PCN request is transmitted to the city clerk to give you, the stakeholder, ample time to go through your internal review process. After a council file is assigned to the PCN request, you will receive a stakeholder input form from the applicant, which will reference the applicant's request and assigned council file number. If you are interested in providing input to the City Council, please review the information the applicant provided on the stakeholder input form and in the PCN request form in the City Council file, and make reference to the assigned council file number when submitting any written comments and or documents to the City Council pertaining to the request via lacouncilcomment.com. Please remember that the PCN request, even if approved by the City Council, is just the first step of many steps involved in the licensing process, and members of the public will have multiple opportunities to provide input throughout the licensing process. For more information on how to stay engaged in the city's commercial cannabis licensing process, please visit cannabis.lacity.org to sign up for DCR's listserv and to learn more about how to participate in meetings held by the Cannabis Regulation Commission.